Welcome to Delta Wave Tales. My name is Roman, and it's my privilege to be your host. Wherever you are in the world, you are welcome here. Our goal is simple: to help you get the best sleep possible and foster a healthy relationship with rest and relaxation.
The whispering compass of Luminara. Sleep is not the end of the day. It is the beginning of a journey to the place where the heart's most forgotten dreams are buried. Tonight, we will follow a map that isn't drawn on paper, but on the whispers of the soul, to find the one treasure that can heal the world from the inside out. Part 1. The Tired World and the Mysterious Map. In the heart of a city that never slept, a city of steel and glass that scraped the belly of the clouds, lived a man named Elias Thorne. He was an architect, not of buildings, but of lives. His job was to design happiness, curating experiences for a wealthy and restless clientele. Yet, in his own life, happiness was a ghost he couldn't catch. His world was a cacophony of honking taxis, the relentless hum of air conditioners, and the blue glare of a million screens. The air was thick with the scent of exhaust fumes and ambition. Elias felt it all. The constant pressure was a physical weight on his shoulders, a tight knot in his chest, and a restless hum in his mind that prevented him from ever truly sleeping. One evening, after a particularly grueling day, where he'd had to pacify a billionaire who was unhappy with the shade of blue in his virtual reality sky, Elias walked home through the old part of the city. He often took this detour, not for the scenery, but for the silence. The buildings here were ancient, leaning against each other like old friends sharing secrets. Their stones were warm from the day's sun, and the air smelled of damp earth and jasmine from a forgotten garden. He stopped at a small, cluttered antique shop he'd never noticed before, wedged between a laundromat and a vacant lot. Its window was a mosaic of dust-covered curiosities, a tarnished astrolabe, a music box with a cracked ballerina, and a collection of old compasses. One compass, in particular, caught his eye. It was unlike the others. It was made of a pale pearlescent wood, not metal. Its face wasn't marked with north, south, east or west, but with words: peace, joy, love, home, forgiveness. It had no needle, only a single intricate carving of a spiral in its center. A tiny ancient bell above the door chimed as he entered. A woman with skin like worn leather and eyes the color of a deep forest emerged from the shadows. She was the color of the shop itself, old, warm, and full of stories. Her name was Alara. The Compass of Whispers, she said softly, as if introducing a living being. It has been waiting for you, Elias. How do you know my name? He asked, startled. I know many things, she said with a gentle smile. I know you are tired. Tired of the noise. Tired of building happiness for others while your own slips away. The compass is not for finding a direction. It is for finding a feeling. It leads to the lost city of Luminara, a place of pure, unadulterated peace. Luminara, Elias scoffed, his practical mind resisting. A lost city? That's a myth, a fairy tale. Alara shook her head. A myth is just a truth that has been forgotten. You have a map in your pocket, Elias, a map to your own soul. You just need to learn how to read it. She placed the compass in his hands. The moment his fingers touched the smooth, warm wood, a wave of tranquility washed over him. It was as if he had been underwater and had finally broken the surface to take a deep, cleansing breath. The knot in his chest loosened just a little. He bought it. He didn't know why. He just knew. He couldn't leave without it. Part 2. The Threshold of Sleep. That night, as he lay in his minimalist, sterile apartment, the city's hum a constant drone outside his window, Elias took out the compass. He turned it over in his hands. The spiral in the center seemed to move, to pulse with a soft inner light that matched the rhythm of his own heartbeat. He held it to his ear, and that's when he heard it. A whisper, not a voice, but a feeling. A gentle melodic rustle, like leaves in a soft breeze, combined with the faint, crystal clear sound of water trickling over smooth stones. It was the sound of peace. It was the sound of a place he had only ever dreamed of. The compass began to warm in his hands. The spiral at its center glowed brighter, casting a soft silvery light around his room. The light didn't just illuminate, it absorbed. It seemed to drink in the harsh edges of his modern furniture, softening them. The sounds of the city, the sirens, the car horns began to fade, replaced by the compass's soothing whisper. He felt a curious pull, a gentle tugging at his core. He closed his eyes. The warmth spread from his hands, up his arms, and into his chest. The tight knot began to unravel, thread by thread. A sense of profound peace settled over him, deeper than any he had ever felt from sleep. He wasn't falling asleep. He was being led. He opened his eyes, and he was no longer in his apartment. He was standing in a vast open meadow. The grass was a luminescent green, glowing as if it held the sunlight of 1,000 peaceful days. The sky was the color of a twilight dream, a soft canvas of amethyst, rose, and gold. The air was pure, perfumed with the scent of night-blooming flowers and petrichor, the smell of rain on dry earth. This was the threshold, the first step of his journey. A path of smooth white stones, no wider than his foot, meandered through the grass and into a forest of ancient silver-barked trees. The forest wasn't dark or scary. It was welcoming. The trees were adorned with glowing, crystal-like leaves that shimmered with every color of the rainbow, and the branches were strung with delicate silken threads that hummed with the softest, most beautiful music he had ever heard. It was the music of the spheres, the song of 1,000 gentle instruments playing in perfect harmony. He held the compass in his hand. The spiral at its center had changed. It was no longer a static carving. It was a flowing, shimmering pool of light. He looked down at it, and the word peace glowed brighter than the others. He knew, without knowing how, that he had to follow the song of the wind, the whisper of the light, the feeling of calm in his own heart. He took a step onto the path, and the path itself seemed to sigh with relief, welcoming him home. Part 3. The First Trial. The Garden of Murmurs. He walked for a time, the path leading him deeper into the forest. He felt a lightness in his step he hadn't felt in years. The tension in his jaw, a constant companion, had faded. The path led him to a stunning clearing. In the center was a giant circular garden, but it wasn't a garden of flowers. It was a garden of sound. There were crystalline plants of all shapes and sizes, each emitting a distinct, gentle tone. There were fountains that didn't spray water, but liquid light, creating a soft, cascading melody. There were wind chimes made of starlight, tinkling in a breeze that wasn't there. It was a symphony of peace. At the edge of the garden stood a figure. It was a man made of shadow and light, his form ever shifting. He was the guardian of the Garden of Murmurs. He had no features, but Elias felt his benign, ancient presence. To to pass through the garden of Murmurs. The guardian's voice echoed in his mind, a sound like the rustling of ancient paper. You must find the one note that is out of harmony, the one sound that does not belong. Only then will the next path be revealed. Elias looked at the garden. It was a beautiful cacophony of soothing sounds. How could he find a single wrong note? He closed his eyes and listened. He filtered out the beauty, the harmony, the obvious music. He listened for what felt like a catch in the throat of the symphony, and then he heard it, a tiny, plaintive, lonely sound. It was the sound of a single, clear bell, muffled, as if trapped. It sounded sad, out of place. He opened his eyes and followed the sound to the far side of the garden. There, half hidden under a beautiful crystal fern that sang a soft lullaby, was a simple wooden whistle. He picked it up. It felt cold and forgotten. He put it to his lips and blew softly. A clear, pure note, the perfect missing harmony, filled the garden. The symphony resumed. The melodies intertwined with his note, creating a sense of profound completion. The ground in the center of the garden shimmered, and a new, narrow path leading towards a distant, shimmering peak was revealed. The guardian of the garden bowed his head. You have restored harmony, the voice whispered. You have found the lost part and given it a voice. That is the first step to finding Luminara. As Elias stepped onto the new path, he felt a huge wave of relief, a deep cleansing exhale. He realized the forgotten whistle was like the part of him that was always trying to be heard, a tiny voice of discontent within the symphony of his busy life. By finding it and giving it a voice, he had made himself whole. Part 4. The Lake of Reflections. The path wound upwards, the air growing cooler and thinner. The towering mountains ahead were not made of rock, but of smooth, polished crystal that reflected the entire sky. Eventually, the path opened onto a vast, serene lake. Its surface was as smooth as black glass, perfectly reflecting the starry sky above. It was the Lake of Reflections. On the other side of the lake, he could see a small, humble cottage. It was the only structure in sight. A simple, inviting light glowed from its window. But there was no boat, no bridge, no way across. He stood at the edge of the water, the compass in his hand. He looked at his reflection, but it wasn't his face that he saw. He saw the face of his father, a man he'd lost years ago, a man he'd always felt he'd disappointed, a man he'd never truly said goodbye to. The water shimmered, and the reflection of his father was joined by other images. A childhood argument with his sister, a harsh word to a colleague, a promise to himself he had broken. The lake was showing him his own memories, the regrets, the apologies never made, the love unspoken. These were the burdens he carried, the heavy stones that weighed on his heart and disturbed his sleep. The word on the compass glowed: forgiveness. And then another figure appeared on the opposite shore. It was a woman. She was serene, her long dark hair flowing like silk in the wind. She was dressed in a simple flowing robe of deep blue. Her eyes were not physical eyes, but two pools of infinite, understanding light. She was the keeper of the lake. Her voice was the sound of the water itself, cool and refreshing. To cross the Lake of Reflections, you must first let go of what you carry, she said, her voice echoing softly. The boat is not made of wood, Elias. It is made of truth and acceptance. How do I build it? He asked, his voice thick with emotion. You must speak your regrets aloud to the water, she instructed. every heavy stone you drop will become a part of the vessel. But you must speak them with no judgment, only with the understanding that they are a part of your journey. Elias took a deep breath. He looked at his reflection again. He saw his younger self, full of fear and ambition. He saw the apology he'd never made to his father. "I was afraid," he began, his voice trembling, speaking to his own reflection, to the memory of his father. "I was afraid you wouldn't be proud of me. I was so busy trying to be successful that I forgot to just be your son. I'm sorry." He felt a weight lift from his chest and saw a single small white stone appear at his feet. He picked it up, and it was warm and as smooth as a tear. He threw it into the lake. Instead of sinking, it floated, and another appeared next to it. He continued. He confessed his anger, his fears, his betrayals of his own heart. He spoke of the job he'd taken for money instead of passion, the call to his sister he'd been too busy to make. With each heartfelt confession, another white stone appeared, and he threw them into the water. They began to arrange themselves, not on the surface, but just beneath it, glowing with a soft, ethereal light, forming a bridge of shimmering, floating stones. The path was not a bridge he walked on, but a path of light through the water. He took his first step, his foot landing on the glowing stone, which felt solid and cool. The water didn't get his feet wet. It felt like stepping onto a memory of solid ground. With each step, he felt lighter. The sadness he felt was not a crippling weight, but a profound release, a cleansing. He was forgiving himself, and with each step, the heavy physical burden he had carried for so long dissolved. As he reached the other side, he turned back to look at the lake. The stones he had laid were gone, but the lake's surface was now brighter, reflecting a sky filled with gentle, benevolent stars. He felt a sense of peace he had never known. He felt lighter. The keeper of the lake smiled, a gentle, radiant smile. "You are ready," she said. "The real treasure is not what you will find, but what you have already begun to lose." Part 5. The Summit of Luminara. He approached the cottage. The door swung open on silent hinges. Inside, the simplicity was profound. A single wooden table, a chair, a hearth with a softly glowing violet flame. It was a space of pure intention. He held the compass again. It was warmer now, humming with a soft, radiant light. The word glowing was now love. He sat in the chair, and with the sound of the crackling, gentle fire, he felt a deep, profound contentment. He was so comfortable, so at peace. He felt himself sinking deeper into a state of profound relaxation. The fire was not just warming him, it was dissolving the last of his tension, melting away the anxiety. His eyelids grew heavy, but just as he was on the cusp of sleep, a voice, deeper than the mountain itself, rumbled from the hearth. "Ah, a traveller who has made it to the summit. You have earned a rest, Elias." The figure that emerged from the violet flame was majestic and awe-inspiring. It was an old man, but made of smoke and flickering light. He had a long silver beard that flowed like a waterfall of star stuff, and eyes that were two galaxies swirling with infinite knowledge. He was the curator, the guardian of the heart of the mountain. Elias straightened up, feeling a mixture of awe and nervousness. I came for the treasure, for Luminara. I followed the compass." The curator smiled. "And you have done so with more courage than most. But what do you believe the treasure is, Elias? Gold? Jewels? Eternal life?" I thought it was peace, Elias said, his mind suddenly feeling hazy and dreamlike. I feel so peaceful now. Peace is the journey, not the destination, the curator said. The treasure is something far more profound. It is the one thing that can heal this tired world. It is the one thing you, and everyone you know, has been searching for. He waved a hand, and a single simple box appeared on the table. It was made of the same pearlescent wood as the compass. The curator opened it. Inside, nestled on a bed of soft blue velvet, was a single, shimmering object. It was a sphere of shimmering, iridescent light, no bigger than a marble. It pulsed with a soft rhythmic beat, like a tiny, peaceful heart. But it wasn't a solid object. It was a sphere of pure, concentrated sound. The treasure of Luminara, the curator announced, is the first word ever spoken. A word? Elias asked, perplexed. Just a word. Not just a word. The word, the curator corrected, his voice growing serious. In the beginning, there was no sound, only silence. The universe was a silent thought waiting to be born. Then, the first word was spoken. It was not a word from a language you know. It is a sound that contains within it the blueprint of creation, the frequency of peace, of joy, of love, of healing. It is the sonic equivalent of a hug from the universe itself. The masters of Luminara discovered how to contain it within this sphere. It is the source of all true harmony. Elias was speechless. He reached out a trembling hand. He could feel the sphere's gentle vibration, the soft hum of a billion lullabies. It was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen or felt. He was overwhelmed with a feeling of love so pure and so deep that it brought tears to his eyes. This was it, the ultimate treasure. The curator seemed to scrutinize him. Will you keep it, Elias? Yes, Elias said, his voice full of awe and desire. It's incredible. It would fix everything. It would heal the whole world. The curator's expression shifted. A flicker of profound sadness and disappointment crossed his galaxy-filled eyes. Part 6. The plot twist. I am sorry, Elias, the curator said, his voice now tinged with a deep melancholy. I had such hope for you. You have passed the trials of your mind and heart, but you have failed the final test. Failed? What do you mean? Elias asked, joy shining from his face. I found the treasure. I found Luminara. Luminara is not a place, Elias, the curator said, his voice echoing in the cottage. Luminara is a state of being. It exists within you. The city you see, the forests, the lake, the mountains, they are simply an external reflection of the inner peace you were meant to find. You have been inside your own soul all this time. Elias gasped, his mind reeling. My own soul? The trials were to teach you to find harmony, to forgive yourself and others, and to learn the true nature of love. The curator continued. The journey was the treasure. But the sphere, the first word, Elias protested. The first word, the curator said, gently closing the box, is not meant to be taken or possessed. It is meant to be shared. It exists not as a thing, but as an action. It was never a word to be hoarded. It is a word to be spoken. The true treasure is the act of giving it away. He looked at Elias with a deep, ancient wisdom. You asked to keep it, to take it. Your heart sought possession. You wanted to use it for the world's good. But your own desire to be the one to save the world, to own the solution, was the greed we needed to see. You wanted the treasure for yourself, and in doing so, you have shown you are not yet ready to be a keeper of the word, you would have kept it in a vault. You would have used it to fix problems, you see, forgetting that the world needs to learn to fix itself. Elias sank into the chair, a profound sense of loss washing over him. The relief, the peace he had felt, was gone, replaced by crushing disappointment in himself. He had come so far, only to fail at the very end. All is not lost, the curator said, his voice softening. You have not failed the entire journey. You have just shown us you are not ready to give the word, but you have successfully found it. The rest is up to you. The curator leaned forward, his smoky form billowing. The real twist, Elias, is that the treasure never left the box. The box is not a container. It is a lock, and the key is the compass, but not as you know it. Look at the compass. Elias looked at the compass in his hand, the words on its face: peace, joy, love, home, forgiveness, were now glowing in a brilliant white-hot light, and a needle, a shimmering silver needle, had appeared in its center. It was pointing directly at his own heart. A single tear-like drop of silver light fell from the compass and landed on the box. The box clicked open. Inside, the shimmering sphere of the first word was still there, pulsing. But now, it was not a single point of light. It was splitting. It was fracturing into a million tiny, shimmering particles of sound, like a galaxy of miniature stars. They began to rise from the box, swirling around him. You will not take the word, the curator announced. The word will take a part of you. The first word cannot be hoarded, but it can be carried within. It will stay with you, in your heart, as a memory, a blueprint, a seed of your new story. One of the tiny shimmering lights floated towards Elias and gently touched his forehead. A wave of warmth and wisdom flooded him. He understood. The treasure was not the first word itself. The treasure was the knowing of it, the journey to find it, the lesson that the true peace came from the quest, not the destination. He would not leave with a box of magic, but with a soul full of song. He began to feel his consciousness drifting, becoming hazy, warm, and heavy. The lines of the cottage, the curator, and the mountain began to blur and soften. He was no longer a traveller in a dreamscape. He was a dreamer in his own bed. The feeling of the first word was still there, a soft, warm, humming stone of light in the centre of his chest. Part 7, the return and the healing. Elias Thorne opened his eyes. He was in his apartment. The city was still there, but it was quiet. The hum was still there, but it was gentle, like a distant, comforting lullaby. The blue glow of the screens was still there, but it was soft, like the light of a peaceful fire. He sat up in his bed. The world was the same, and yet it was utterly different. The weight on his shoulders was gone. The knot in his chest was not just loosened, it had been untied. The restless hum in his mind was a quiet, harmonious melody. He reached into his pocket. The compass was there. He pulled it out. It was cold and silent, made of plain, aged wood. No lights, no whispers. It was just a beautiful old trinket. But he knew, with every fibre of his being, it was so much more. It was a reminder. He held it to his ear, and he heard it again. The whispering. It wasn't a sound from the compass anymore. It was a sound from within his own soul. A gentle, peaceful song, the echo of the first word. He knew it was not a song to be played for others, but a song to be lived. He went to his window. The city was still a sprawling monument to ambition, but he saw it differently now. He saw the tired people hurrying to work, their heads down. He saw the loneliness in the empty windows. He saw the quiet desperation in the honking horns, and instead of feeling overwhelmed by it, he felt a profound, deep love for it. It was his city, his world, and for the first time, he knew how to help it. The first thing he did was call his sister. It was early morning for her, late at night for him. She answered, annoyed. "Elias? It's 3 a.m. for you." "I know," he said, his voice full of a gentle emotion she hadn't heard from him in years. "I'm sorry. I just wanted to say I love you. I'm sorry for being so distant." There was a long pause on the other end, then a sniffle. I miss you, Eli. I miss who you used to be." "Me too," he said, "but I think I found him again." He went to his job, but he didn't design happiness for the wealthy. He designed a community centre in the heart of the poorest part of town. He designed a tiny house project for the homeless. He used his skills, his income, his entire life's work to plant gardens on rooftops, to create art spaces in forgotten alleyways, to build soundproofed meditation rooms and libraries. He gave voice to the lonely sound, just as he had in the Garden of Murmurs. He started small. He mentored a lost teenager just by listening. He forgave a rival architect, finding a way to collaborate instead of compete. He started a weekly silent supper club where people would gather to eat a meal in contemplative silence. The only sound, the gentle clinking of cutlery. The peace he felt became a quiet revolution. He didn't cure the world overnight. He didn't fix it with a magic spell, but a ripple of change began. The teenager he mentored became a youth worker. The rival architect became his closest friend. The community centre became a refuge for the soul of the city. One evening, a year later, Elias sat on a bench in his new favourite place, a small forgotten garden he had restored in the city's centre. The jasmine was in bloom, and the air was sweet. A mother and her young son were reading a book on a blanket nearby. The boy was restless, full of the city's energy. Elias watched them for a moment, then walked over. "Excuse me," he said softly. "Would you like to hear a story? A story about a tired man who found a treasure he was never supposed to keep?" The boy nodded, his eyes wide. The mother smiled, a look of exhaustion on her own face. Elias sat down on the grass, the warm earth beneath him. He closed his eyes for a moment, remembering the feeling of the first word, the gentle hum in his heart, and he began to speak. He told them of the compass of whispers, the garden of murmurs, the lake of reflections, and the wise curator. He told them about the treasure that wasn't a thing, but a word. And most importantly, he told them the word, but he didn't say it aloud. Instead, he let the feeling of it wash over him, a feeling of pure, unconditional love, an offering of peace, a forgiveness for all the world's noise. He looked into the boy's eyes, and he whispered the feeling with his heart. The boy, who had been fidgeting, suddenly grew still. His eyes became soft and heavy. A serene smile spread across his face. He leaned his head against his mother's shoulder and let out a soft, contented sigh. His breathing deepened, and he fell into a deep, restorative sleep. His small body completely relaxed, healed by the silent, wordless lullaby Elias had shared. His mother looked at him, then at Elias, tears of gratitude filling her eyes. "I don't know what you just did," she whispered, "but thank you. He hasn't slept this peacefully in years." Elias just smiled, a smile of profound peace and quiet joy. He had failed to take the treasure, but he had succeeded in becoming a keeper. He had not found the treasure of Luminara. He was the treasure. A man who could quiet the noise, heal the wounds, and offer the world a single, precious moment of peace. And in that silent, loving moment, Elias knew he had found the real treasure, the ability to share the song within his heart, a song that had no words but could heal the tired souls of a noisy world. He closed his own eyes, feeling the warmth of the boy's peaceful sleep, the gratitude of the mother, and the city's hum outside. No longer a cacophony, but a gentle, quiet chorus. He was home, and he was finally ready for a good, long, healing sleep. End of story. And good night. Close your eyes. Take a slow, deep breath. Let your shoulders drop. Let the weight of the day begin to drift away. This is a story that will carry you into sleep, like a gentle tide pulling you away from the shore of waking thought. You don't need to remember the details. You don't need to follow every word. Just let the sound of my voice and the rhythm of this tale ease you toward the quiet place where delta waves live. Delta waves are the slowest, deepest brain waves, the ones that come when you're in the most restful, healing stages of sleep. They are the waves of restoration, of letting go, of sinking into the warm, silent ocean of rest. So let yourself sink. Let yourself be held.